Hello, everyone. We're here for meditation today together. So I type into the chat so that you can let me know if you're here today as we get started, and it's just about time to start. So welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. My name is aLex Levin, and we are here for a short meditation today. This is Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube channel. The summer weeks, the 10 weeks of summer, I've decided to feature teachings from the Yoga Sutras, and they are the first 2 limbs of the 8 limbs. The first is, I'm looking at my cheat sheet because the first is entitled The Laws of Life, and I looked at my cheat sheet because usually that's termed as restraints, and sometimes observances. So there are 5 of them. There are 5 laws of life or restraints, and there are 5. The second limb is 5. This is again a different new name for me, a little bit newer than I've been using. Rules of life. The first one we attended to last week was non-harming or non-violating. Universal, right? Universal. The second one, and we'll revisit non-harming a little bit today, and the second one is truthfulness. So I'm going to read to you just some things. I'm going to read it slow so you can sort of ponder this YouTube, I entitled it Stillness, Truthfulness, Revolution, or Evolution. And this act of taking time for ourselves to be still for a while, to pause, truly can lead to evolutionary and revolutionary behavior, thinking, interaction. And it's sometimes hard to make the jump from what we're doing in sitting silently and cultivating a calm nervous system, a peaceful mind. How does that help us with when we're under duress and when we feel angry, or whether we feel indignant, or whether we feel hurt or greedy, or in all the complicated parts of life? And maybe some of these thoughts that I'm going to share with you today to contemplate may actually help us ponder that in ourselves, these ideas that have come down through the ages, from the sages. And okay, so, and while I'm reading, you can spend that time also ensuring that your seat is very comfortable when we get to that 12 minutes of meditating together. So the laws of life are nonviolence, truthfulness, integrity, moderation, non-attachment. These laws are universal, unaffected by time, place, birth, or circumstance. Together, they constitute the great law of life. The rules for living are 5 also: simplicity, contentment, purification, refinement, and surrender to the divine. So all 10 of those altogether we'll be visiting this summer in my classes, as well as this meditation series on Sundays. When negative feelings restrict us, So this is addressing the non-harming first rule of life, law of life, law of life. When negative feelings restrict us, the opposite should be cultivated. Negative feelings such as violence are damaging to life, whether we act upon them ourselves or cause or condone them in others. They are born of greed, anger, or delusion, and may be slight, moderate, or intense. Their fruit, the negative feelings, is endless ignorance and suffering. And to remember this is to cultivate the opposite. When we are firmly established in nonviolence, all beings around us cease to feel hostility. When we are firmly established in truthfulness, action accomplishes its desired end. So most of the way this is phrased doesn't tell us what we should do, aside from the one verse that says, when negative feelings restrict us, the opposite should be cultivated. But mostly it's describing what happens when we do have feelings of violence within us. And I would say it's important that we don't deny them, but a huge part of this practice is to be able to sit individually, to sit with the difficult feeling that arises so that we can see clearly through, so we can see the truth. We can see the truth, whether it's some way that we're uncomfortable or something that we do need to ask of the other person, some way that we need to make ourselves more safe or the other more safe. And none of that is solved by acting out through the violence, but through clearly seeing what is the need here, and then being able to express our request, our need, or gather the circumstance if it can be as something, or we need to get ourselves safe or the other person safe right away. So let us sit together and cultivate this capability that is available. I'll talk us through it a little bit, but you will be sitting with large chunks of silence as well for these 12 minutes. So establish a seat that is comfortable. In doing this step, our nervous system, our body wisdom picks up on the truth of the solidness of our support here in the ground and what's underneath our seat. In the gravitational field. We sense into that letting go downward, following the path of weight through all of our body parts, all our cells. And we begin to more clearly feel the upward structure that is our spine. That receives the downward pull of gravity, as well as the oppositional force of levity upward that's coming from the center of the earth lifting up, not like the dirt lifting and floating up towards us, but that force, that centrifugal force coming upward, outward from the center of the earth. And discover the possibility of ease in the body receiving and releasing each breath. This getting still is such an important piece. And we start to notice the truth of where we're holding on and we don't need to be holding on. The stillness affords us clarity toward more and more subtle confusions or tangled knots. It helps us to discern. An effortless, easeful, relaxed seat here. Sensing the ground. Receiving, releasing our breath. We also begin to notice all that is swirling and moving and sounding and repeating and flowering and endlessly becoming and becoming. Our job in meditation can be as simple as attending to the posture, the stillness, and the breath. And all else that is happening, whether it's a very peaceful, relaxed, easy sense, or whether our mind is bombarded by planning or conflict, or whether the body feels tension or pain. All of these might be here. And we need not engage or wrestle or engage or wrestle with them or consider any of it problematic. So if there is something that arrives, for example, that is painful, perhaps you notice a paradox in how, how can I sit and be at ease and welcoming when I'm experiencing pain? So at that moment, and I invite you to welcome that which just arrived, the question, the paradox. The continual noticing of what we are perceiving in our bodies, minds, and hearts together. And so we get to notice, to continue the example of a pain arising in the meditation. Other responses may arise, such as blaming the teacher who is suggesting to be still. I've experienced this, speaking from my own experience. Or to wondering, should I move? To just feeling the suffering of the painfulness. Or the feeling sorry for myself. To the analysis of why is the pain here? To the possibility of, could I just let it all go? Like popping a bubble. To the choice of adjusting the posture so that the pain is not there any longer. The key is noticing that the I who is observing and experiencing all of this is unchanging. Perhaps the most important truth here is to recognize the I is knowing, experiencing, observing all the experiences is unchanging. Left palm together at the heart, at the center. Let's bow together. So in the stillness, we may discover I'll give you another example to take with you for the week, that can reverberate out in many, many ways that we choose to act eventually and evolve, perhaps. During our quiet sitting, we may notice just another difficulty. Doesn't matter whether it's emotional, as I gave the physical example. And it's uncomfortable, usually for most of us. Some difficulty is uncomfortable. And as we sit, one of the ways we can start to refine and discern, so refinement is one of the rules for living that we'll get to later this summer, that comes from self-observation, is that we may distinguish how we are uncomfortable, but perhaps we are not unsafe. So often in how we're living, we might react to something happening to us. We can perceive something happening to us as uncomfortable, confused with unsafe. They're commingled. And so we may feel we have a pattern of either lashing out or retreating or some other behavior that does not solve the issue but continues to repeat it. So this is one way, that a very potent way, that's sitting still, being still for a little bit each day. Consistency each day is more powerful than chunks of time less often. And we'll start to tease out and see more truthfully what is a situation where I'm unsafe and what is a situation where, wow, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to say in this situation. I feel ashamed in this situation. But I can bear this. And I may make and in that quiet and in that clarity, a better choice about what to say to protect myself, to protect someone else, to help someone else where maybe an injustice is being done, which is the theme of the day. Or that I might remove myself, or that I say nothing and that I'm actually not in jeopardy. And then if we are unsafe, that might take a stronger type of action, a quicker action, a more defensive or separating, or some kind of action that is needed to make everyone involved safe. So be well, everyone. Thank you for joining me again this week, and I'll see you next Sunday, which will be the 12th of July. Namaste. Thanks, Sandra, for joining us, and Mary Beth. It's great to have you here today again, and all of you who are out there joining us on this dog day of summer. Bye-bye.